I'm back here spending some quality time with the Sierra Coupe. As you can see, it has changed its appearance a little. If you haven't been following us on other social media like Facebook and Instagram, I guess you wouldn't know, but we actually attended the very first race with the Sierra. We actually got some sponsors and also put some nice stickers on the car, to make it a little prettier. Before the race, I had to sort out some minor issues around the car. I had to close off that big hole we had in the trunk where the previous fuel cell used to sit. I had to secure the actual fuel cell, so it wouldn't move left and right. And I also had to close off that big hole around the gear shifting knob. Also, before the race, we actually installed a brand new Coupe differential. So long story short, the race actually went great. I'm sorry I haven't been able to really document it properly because I had much work to do with the car and myself as well, It was a very first time for me as well. Regarding the race itself, it was actually the first time of me driving the car, like more dynamically and not just, just driving it around without any obstacles, So anyways, I was very, very happy with the result. As I said, I haven't really documented it much, but I will put some video clips just so you can see at least a couple of tiny little snippets of how the race went down.
Că și-o muzică bi mogo da, Tereza se leže delalo.
Forward to the next one. But why exactly do I have the Sierra on the lift again? Well, of course, as expected, the race actually pointed out some flaws of the Sierra. One of my main concern was the cooling system. Keep in mind that this was a race uphill, quite a steep hill that is, and also the weather on those 2 days of the race was very, very hot, around 30 degrees Celsius or so, maybe even higher. But the cooling system actually performed very well. The temperature actually hasn't reached higher than 110 degrees Celsius in the end, if I recall correctly. But looking at the data logs from the race, we had some engine protection limiters turning on and off. The first and most concerning one was the oil protection limiter. It turned out that the oil pressure was getting quite low sometimes, mainly when hard cornering, through the sharp chicanes. That led me to believe that the oil in the oil pan must be splashing left and right, and the oil pickup must have picked up some air or something. So that's what we'll be looking into today. The other two limiters were the rev limiter, that one we all love, and the boost cut limiter. There actually were some boost spikes showing on the data log, causing the engine protection to turn on and actually pull the ignition out. But we'll try to solve that the next time. Today we'll be sorting out the oil pressure during cornering. Keep in mind that V6 Cologne engine we got here in the Sierra was never actually meant for some racing use, This is a bulky, torquey old engine, and what I'm trying to say is that the oil pan wasn't designed for some hard cornering or something like that. So what we'll actually do is we're gonna pull the oil pan off of the car and take a closer look at the oil pickup and what exactly can we do about it. I'm thinking about making some kind of a bracket, around the oil pickup just to prevent the oil splashing left and right. So a certain amount of oil will be always around that oil pickup. So the pickup itself will be immersed in oil at all times. So let's start with the disassembly. Now we wait for all the oil to drip out of the sump, and then we'll proceed with the oil sump removal. Cheers! Alright, so all the bolts are out. I've also disconnected this oil return here from the turbo, and yeah, I should just be able to just pry this down and the oil pan should come off. It seems the oil pan won't come off unless I get this off. Let me remove this piece of exhaust manifold here. Alright, the connecting pipe here is removed, and now we can finally take the oil pan off. Alright, so after a couple of afternoons of fidgeting around and trying stuff, here's what I came up with. So you might be wondering what the purpose of this little basket looking thing might be. What this actually is, or should be, is like an anti-surge box. This will be mounted around the oil pickup, and as you can see here, it's got these gates. Those are just ordinary hinges. I bought them in the hardware store. And the purpose of those is that if you imagine the oil being inside here, while cornering, these four actually act like a one-way valve. Let's say this is mounted like this, and we're moving like so. Let's say if we really slam the brakes like so, this will stop. This valve will actually shut and keep the oil from splashing further, and this one will actually open and let in the oil from here. And that's actually the basic operation of this anti-surge box. Because of the oil pickup design, I wasn't able to mount this onto the floor of the oil pan, so I used a couple of bolts on the engine to really mount this firmly. Then I have these plates here as well. Those come mounted like so. And function of those is actually to prevent the oil from splashing upwards, you know. So this will be kind of sealed, and it should prevent the oil from sloshing left and right and front and back around the oil pickup that is inside here. Let me show you how this thing bolts onto the engine. Okay, so here we got our pickup, and this will go in like so. See, it's using the bolts that hold this shield. I'll just put these nuts back on, and this will be firmly fixed, just like so. Now I will put these covers on as well. and I do still have to put some holes here, because having this box there, it really has to be kind of a balancing act. The oil should stay inside that box we got here, this anti-surge box, but at the same time it has to be able to return from the engine back to the pickup. That's why I will actually, I guess, make some holes here for all the oil that is draining down from the engine, to be able to really get back to the oil pickup. Another thing I'll have to check here is this clearance here from the bottom of this box to the oil pan. This doesn't really have to seal or anything, but there shouldn't be too much of a gap here. The way I'm going to do this is I'm gonna use some modeling clay. I will just put the modeling clay here on the bottom of the oil pan and then just mount everything together as it will be mounted in the end. As I said, this really doesn't have to seal totally, but there shouldn't be too much of a gap. Let's say a couple of millimeters would be totally fine. Okay, so let's now just try and see if everything bolts together nicely. This will go like so, and this one goes like so. Okay, let me just bolt all this together and then we'll check for that clearance here. It's been a while since I dealt with this stuff. Oh yeah. Okay, let's see. Here we actually touched onto the bottom, but other than that we're pretty good here. You can see we haven't punctured really this clay. So I'll just grind the box from the bottom on this side, and this should be just fine. Okay, so now let's do a quick test. First, I will just pour some water inside here to a certain level. Then we'll actually install this contraption on the very same position as it will be inside the engine. And then we'll try vigorously move this thing around again and see if there's any actual difference. So okay, now first the original oil pan alone. Okay, getting quite wet here. Alright, now the moment of truth. Well, it doesn't stop all the splashing. We still got some splashing here in the front, but I think it's much better. And with the oil, you know, instead of water, I think this effect will be even more prevalent. So I say let's give it a go in the car and we'll see how the oil pressure will be. Oh, and another thing. Here you can see I got my turbo oil return, and here I'm seeing just two little holes. And this might contribute to the oiling problem as well. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna drill a couple more holes here, just to make sure that oil coming from the turbo and here down has adequate space, you know, to go through this barrier here. Performance oil pan is all set up and mounted on the engine. The oil sump baffle box we've put inside the oil pan should most certainly help with the oil pressure issues we've been having. Now I still have to put the front end together and this connecting exhaust pipe. Now if our solution will really work or not, we'll have to test. There's no other way around it. The good thing is, now the following weekend we got another race coming. So that will be a perfect occasion to test if the oil pressure will still be getting low on the chicanes and the sharp corners. Before the race I still have a couple of things to sort out on the car. Obviously I have to put together the front end and then some more minor tweaks. This time around I will film more and really try my best to capture the race for you guys. As always, if you like this kind of content, make sure to like and subscribe for more, and I'll see you in the next one. Be good!